Okay, behavioural economics on a post-it number 8, the reflection effect. If you remember, if you've watched it, behavioural economics on a post-it number 5, the short video that I did for that was on prospect theory. And a combination of assumptions around how people value outcomes and how they subjectively weight probabilities in prospect theory implies what Kahneman and Tversky, or I think specifically Daniel Kahneman, called the most profound implication of prospect theory, or words to that effect, and that is the reflection effect. Now, the reflection effect is the assumption derived from prospect theory that people will demonstrate quite a reasonably complex set of risk attitudes when faced with different gambles, if you like. Those gambles can be split in prospect theory between gambles that involve the chance of winning something, gains, the chances of winning something, and gambles that involve the chance of losing something, they're the losses. And those different types of gambles can be split between those where there's a high probability of either winning or losing something, or a low probability of winning or losing something. And prospect theory predicts that people will demonstrate different risk attitudes depending on where they are in this quadrant, if you like, in this space where there's a high or a low probability of either gaining or losing a particular thing. Now, standard economic theory assumes, and standard rational choice theory assumes, that people will have a consistent set of risk attitudes. Either that people will be what's called risk neutral, they'll either neither like nor dislike risk, or in some circumstances they can be mildly risk averse. But generally people would have a consistent set of risk attitudes across gains and losses, whatever, irrespective of the type of gamble they face within standard rational choice theory. Prospect theory, I'm going to tell you now what it sort of predicts in this space in terms of risk attitudes, and I'll go around in a sort of anti-clockwise direction. So when people are faced with a high probability of winning something, prospect theory implies really that people will often demonstrate risk aversion in that space. So for example, if you were faced with, say, a 99% chance of winning £100, or taking what's called the expected value of that gamble. Now, the expected value of a 99% chance of winning £100 is just the probability, or the percentage, multiplied by the amount that you can win if you're successful in that gamble, the £100 in that case. So it's a 99% chance of winning £100 and a 1% chance of not winning anything at all, right? Or taking the expected value for sure, and the expected value is 0.99 times 100 equals £99. So you could think about what you would do there, but prospect theory assumes or predicts that most people would choose the certainty of the expected value, i.e. they would choose the £99 for sure over the gamble of a 99% chance of winning £100 and a 1% chance of winning nothing at all. Standard economic theory would more or less be consistent with that prediction also. So that's where we would be. Risk aversion. People would not like risk when faced with high probabilities of gains. Right? Let's think about low probabilities of gains. Imagine a gamble where you're faced with a 1% chance of winning £100 and a 99% chance of winning nothing at all. Right? Now, the expected value of that particular gamble would just be 1%, 0.01% times 100, which would be £1, right? Now, if you were asked to choose between £1 or the gamble, the 1% chance of winning £100 and the 99% chance of winning nothing at all, then prospect theory allows people to be risk-seeking in that particular context. They choose the gamble, the 1% chance of winning £100, over the expected value of the gamble, which would be £1 for sure, right? Standard economic theory would struggle to predict or to explain the differences in those risk attitudes. But if you think about it, a low probability of winning something, being risk-seeking in that space, is consistent with people buying lotteries or betting on horse race, the outcomes of horse racing or any other form of gambling, right? So that's what prospect theory predicts over low probabilities of gains, risk-seeking behaviour. Let's move across to low probabilities of losing a particular amount. So imagine if you were to face a choice where you have a 1% chance of losing £100, 99% chance of losing nothing, or facing the expected value of that gamble, which is to lose £1 for sure, right? So you could either lose £1 for sure, for definite, you'd have to give up £1, or you could face a gamble where there's a 1% chance you could lose £100 and a 99% chance of losing nothing at all. Prospect theory would assume that people would rather just pay the £1 than face the gamble in that instance. They wouldn't like the gamble, they'd be risk averse, right? And that is consistent with classic insurance types behaviours, isn't it? You pay a small amount of money, or a relatively small amount of money, to avoid the possibility or to avoid the worst effects of a small probability of a much bigger loss, right? Classic insurance behaviour. And then if we move up here to the final quadrant in the top right-hand corner here, high probabilities of losing a particular amount. So you could either face a 99% chance of losing £100, 1% chance of losing nothing, 99% chance of losing £100, or face the definite loss of the expected value of that particular gamble, which would be to lose £99 for sure. So you could face a 99% chance of losing £100 and a 1% chance of losing nothing, or just pay the £99 and lose the £99 for sure. Prospect theory would predict in that instance people would rather take the gamble. They'd rather go for the chance that they might lose, the small chance that they might lose nothing, the 1%, 99% chance they're going to still lose £100, than just to, for sure, just pay over £99 in that particular instance, right? That's risk-seeking behaviour in the domain of high probability losses, right? So if you think about these sort of behaviours, they do kind of sort of ring true in real life circumstances, don't they? You can imagine that lots of people do engage in risk-seeking behaviours in gambling scenarios, that they are risk-averse in insurance type scenarios, right? This is perhaps the most dangerous one for public policy purposes, because if people keep on taking risks when they face reasonably high probabilities of further losses, then it's likely that they'll accumulate further and further losses until they get themselves into very serious difficulties. So sometimes on TV programs such as Deal or No Deal, you will see people who win a little bit to begin with, or seem to expect to win a little bit, and then they lose those winnings to some extent. So they are reframing their current position to be one of where they're in a position of relative loss to where they were before. They take more and more risks until eventually they lose everything, right? And this could be very dangerous behaviour if your financial advisor or if a military leader or if a politician is behaving in these sorts of ways, right? So that's the reflection effect. The four-way patterns of risk attitudes that, as I said, Kahneman has suggested is the most profound or important implication of prospect theory, that bizarrely, I think, hasn't been tested too much in the literature. I've done some tests of this, as have a few other people, on the complete four-way pattern, and generally the pattern holds up. Whether or not it is the assumptions of prospect theory or the predictions of prospect theory that produce that pattern is another matter. But generally, patterns that are at least consistent with the predictions of the reflection effect are, in the small amount of literature that's focused on this, is often observed.